Well, good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here with all of you, and I will try and follow what I think we can agree is quite an impressive speech from Wes, and fantastic to hear of some of his ideas and ambition. So as mentioned, I'm Chief Exec of Alzheimer's Research UK, and I also co-chair the UK Dementia Mission, which is a partnership between government, industry and the health system, looking at how we can accelerate progress in delivering treatments to patients. I also stand here as the granddaughter of 3 grandparents that I lost to dementia as a teenager. And in the last 12 months, I've lost one aunt to Alzheimer's disease, which is the leading cause of dementia, and another has recently been diagnosed with it. So my mission here is a professional one and a very personal one for me at every level. And I'm sure that it's a very personal mission for a number of you in this room, because if nothing changes, 1 in 2 of us will be affected by dementia, either by caring for someone with the condition or developing ourselves, or both. Pretty frightening statistic. Dementia is a devastating condition, and any of you who've experienced this condition will know that close up. Historically, research has not had much luck in finding safe, effective treatments. Dementia research has been viewed as costly, maybe a hopeless cause. Investors have chased larger rewards in other medical fields, notably those that weren't reliant on accessing and understanding the complexities of the human brain. But if dementia research has taught us anything in the past year, we are now at this real tipping point for change. The public have largely seen dementia as an inevitable part of aging, not a condition caused by diseases like Alzheimer's, like vascular dementia, or frontotemporal dementia. And there are no survivors. So some of these headlines might be familiar to you. The arrival of lecanemab and donanemab, the first ever Alzheimer's drugs that tackle the root cause of the disease rather than just the symptoms. This proves that what we've always known, that through research we can cure dementia. So these drugs are antibodies, like those made by our body to attack viruses or bacteria. They have been engineered to bind amyloid, the hallmark protein of Alzheimer's, and help our immune systems clear it from the brain. But like many first-generation treatments, their benefits are modest. They appear to slow cognitive decline between about 1/4 and 1/3 over an 18-month period. They also come with some side effects that can be serious. But for me, this is just the start, and it's the start of the next chapter. For people in their 60s today, there will, I hope, be quite a shift in where we are now. I'm in my mid-40s, and for my generation, I really think our generation will benefit from the progress that we are now witnessing. So this tipping point for dementia is built on decades of research that are finally delivering the science that we need, with 2 potential treatments on the horizon. This is the first time in the history of this condition that we potentially have something that can treat that root cause. So for us, we are hugely excited. There is huge potential. But this, again, is just that start, and it doesn't stop there. So this rather busy slide shows that there are 140 Alzheimer's treatments being tested in trials. So it's really a matter of when, and not if, new drugs that are developed prove to be safer and more effective. What we can see is that scientists around the UK, many of them based within Alzheimer's Research UK's Drug Discovery Alliance, are working really hard to uncover the next generation of therapies that targets the various processes in the brain, for example, removing those toxic proteins or restoring brain cells that have already experienced damage. It's highly likely that just with diseases like cancer, truly effective treatment will need to be a combination of therapies, each targeting different disease processes. But wouldn't it be awful if The science delivered, but patients didn't reap the benefits. Unfortunately, this is a reality that we are heading towards in the way that the health system currently diagnoses dementia. Put simply, people won't be able to access treatments without a formal, accurate diagnosis. But the government's national dementia diagnosis target currently sits at 67%, and in many parts of the country, this is repeatedly missed. This means that 1 in 3 people living with dementia in England never get a diagnosis at all. This isn't something we would accept, I think, in any other health condition. People in their families are often waiting for up to 2 years for answers, maybe 4 years if they're under 65. And as I've mentioned, some of them never get answers at all. So this is a major issue that we really, really need to address now. So despite dementia being the biggest killer in the UK, it is the leading cause of death. It's been the leading cause of death for women since 2011. People aren't getting the diagnosis that they really, really need. Part of this is that we are diagnosing dementia in the same way that we did over 20 years ago. This often involves a pen and paper based cognitive test. Maybe some people get a lumbar puncture, brain scans such as PET to detect the presence of Alzheimer's associated proteins. The latter are seen as a gold standard test and will be essential for enabling access to these new treatments that are on the horizon. But currently only 2% of dementia patients received that gold standard diagnosis. New treatments will rely on the diagnosis of people earlier on in the disease. We know there will be a real uptick in people wanting a diagnosis as we start to see these new treatments coming through. We have already seen that in response to a number of those headlines I've just shown. But the diagnosis itself is still shrouded in stigma. It's a huge barrier to getting people to access treatments and care that they need. So while we wait for new treatments to arrive, diagnosis remains really, really important in ensuring that patients can access the care and that they support that they need and plan for the future. Just last month, new research in the New England Journal of Medicine confirmed the idea that Alzheimer's disease has a really long early phase where symptoms aren't noticeable. This can be up to 20 years prior to symptom onset. Alzheimer's disease and dementias are often talked about a condition of later life. This actually changes the dynamic here. This becomes a condition and diseases of midlife. It also means there are huge opportunities here to tackle dementia at the very earliest stages if we can get that diagnosis right. Despite the lack of change in the diagnostic pathway, it is safe to say that we have seen some real innovation in diagnostics happening behind the scenes. There are new advances in digital cognitive tests that will primarily enable better diagnosis of people who already have symptoms. So these are things such as digital cognitive tests rather than those pen and paper tests. These can be performed and scored in real time rather than post hoc. These can allow people quicker access to the care and support that they may need. Integrating cognitive tests into digital health checks and linking them with the NHS app that we've just been hearing more about could help speed up referrals to memory clinics and access to patient data. It's clear from Wes's speech the case that the Labour Party are putting forward in terms of their life sciences strategy and the opportunities there would be for dementia diagnosis and treatment in that space. There are also some advantages that will allow detection of pre-symptomatic disease. So mobile, wearable technologies such as smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, etc. A host of different eye exams are also being evaluated as potential Alzheimer's screening methods. The retina is a particularly attractive target because it's closely related to the brain tissue and can be examined, obviously non-invasively, through the pupil, including methods routinely used in eye checks. It could become part of a routine eye check. AI is becoming obviously more applicable in healthcare industries, and many searching for ways to utilise this in dementia diagnostic screening. It has the potential for us to access MRI and PET scans more effectively, taking huge pressures off of our healthcare system. It also has the potential to detect the earliest signs of the disease and using it to scan images of the brain. There is also one key technology looking to work in both pre- and post-symptomatic people, and that is a blood test. So research has shown that a blood test could be as effective as a standard lumbar puncture and scans. It could be used as initial triaging tool. We know that people are much keener to take a blood test than they would of something that's very invasive, like a lumbar puncture. We also could be in the territory of having a finger prick blood test that could be done as a screening tool from home. Alzheimer's Research UK have launched a blood biomarker challenge, which will revolutionise the way that dementia is diagnosed. We're working closely with another charity, Alzheimer's Society, and the National Institute of Health Research on a £5 million project. This project will gather information needed to introduce a blood test for dementia into the UK healthcare system, and also has an influencing arm that will challenge misconceptions about dementia head on. So the outlook for dementia and its impact on individuals, family, and society is finally changing. We should celebrate this change and what this means for the many lives that are blighted by this condition. But breakthroughs will bring challenges. We must take inspiration from these developments and redouble our efforts, not only to bring about more effective drugs, but ensure that people who stand to benefit have access without delay. The new treatments of the first generation will need to look back at how we started off the first generation of treatments for things like HIV. Often these had limited efficacy and difficult side effects, but paved the way for combination medicines that have revolutionised outcomes for the next generation of people with the condition. So like HIV, like cancer, much of the progress in dementia has been held back through fear, low understanding, and stigma. So until you can start pointing towards a treatment like we can do now, we have been held back. So at Alzheimer's Research UK, we will make sure that dementia research delivers those new treatments, which means searching for treatments that go beyond removing just amyloid from the brain, like lecanemab and donanemab. So I'll end here. This is my family. I have 3 young children, a 1-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 6-year-old. So I have my hands pretty full. But I'm driven by the hope that I won't have to experience what I saw my parents experience with their parents, and go through what I saw as a teenager with my grandparents. And I certainly hope that my children won't be in that same position. None of this will happen overnight, but along the way, many lives will be changed, and then lives will be saved. And Alzheimer's Research UK stands for no less than this. And I urge all of you to stand with us. Thank you.